Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kevin Honan. I'm Development and Innovation Services Director at Iascaigh Mhara, Ireland Seafood Development Agency. You're all very welcome to this afternoon's webinar on the Brexit Adjustment Reserve Processing Capital Support Scheme. Just by way of housekeeping items at the start, you're all very welcome, first of all. Secondly, this webinar is being recorded and will be available on the BIM website thereafter. In terms of any questions that you wish to raise, please use the chat function. You'll find the chat button either at the top or bottom of your screen, depending on your particular computer. Gavin McGrath, my colleague, is on the call, and Gavin will bring those questions through at the end. You are all muted and not on camera, so the only person you need to see is myself. I have a short presentation just on the scheme, and once that's completed, happy to take the questions, but please submit them as they arise, and Gavin will field those. So firstly, I'm happy to announce today that the Brexit Processing Capital Support Scheme is now live and open for applications. You will find the link to the scheme and the details of the scheme on the bim.ie website /the Brexit Adjustment Reserve Fund. The scheme is now live and open for applications, and follow that link and that will bring you through to the GEMS portal where you can make your application. In terms of the objectives of the scheme, the scheme seeks to reduce commodity exports of fish below 50%. It seeks to add significant value to fish landings. It seeks to scale up Ireland's seafood processing sector. It seeks to increase employment opportunities in seafood processing. It seeks to enhance the professionalisation of seafood processing enterprises, fostering the growth and sustainability of these enterprises. It seeks to improve processing efficiency and seeks to enhance energy efficiency and reduce carbon. The project aims to invest €45 million to transform the Irish seafood processing sector, and it seeks to invest where we will achieve the greatest longer-term gains. It seeks to allow the seafood sector to put forward your creative suggestions and select those projects that will make the best return. It seeks to establish a framework within which proposals can be made with appropriate levels of grant aid, in order to enable the sector to do more with less and do it better. The framework of the scheme is that it has 3 target tiers. There are 3 grant rates: grant rate of 50%, a grant rate of 40%, and a grant rate of 30%. The grant rate of 50% applies to transformational processing equipment in the secondary value-added arena. The grant rate of 40% applies to investments which seek to provide processes at an earlier stage of the supply chain than those seen at grant rate of 50%. And the grant rate of 30% supports investment in quality, competitiveness, and efficiencies in primary processing equipment and capital works surrounding secondary and primary processing, aligned to market diversification strategies. The conditions of the scheme, all the details of the conditions of the scheme are available at www.bim.ie /Brexit Adjustment Reserve Fund, but the minimum required conditions are around our procurement process requirements, particularly in relation to quotes. There are some significant spend projects, and this is a significant spend scheme. So the requirements in relation to quotations remain as previously: 3 quotes for all items of expenditure, except for in exceptional circumstances. And those requirements will be enforced. There are significant governance requirements around this scheme, as well as a significant capital investment scheme. Our aim is to be swift, and we do recognise that some projects are longer term, so there is a need to start early. It's important to note that under this scheme, major projects can be submitted in standalone phases. However, each phase must be capable of standing alone. Deadline for project completion is the end of October 2023 to allow payments to be made to you by BIM by the end of December 2023, which is the sunset clause in the Brexit Adjustment Reserve Fund. How the proposal will be assessed will be against 4 criteria, with a 5th pass-fail criteria. The first criteria is whether the proposed investment meets one or more of the scheme objectives, which has a score of 40 marks. Does the organisation have the organisation, governance and control to deliver the project, which attracts 20 marks? What is the environmental impact of the project, which attracts 20 marks? And does it deliver value for money, i.e. are quotes robust, which attracts 20 marks? Finally, is the organisation financially robust, which is a pass or fail criteria? It's notable here that the project must score a minimum of 60 marks to progress. 60 marks out of 100. The approvals process is a call for applications, which is now open. BIM will conduct an eligibility check. BIM will conduct an assessment of project potential, technical robustness and environmental impact. And the project will then be put forward for prioritising and funding level confirmation to the Project Approvals Board. And then there will be a grant offer. In this instance, in this scheme, we have tried to make this scheme as self-service as possible. So there are a number of new self-service support resources available to all applicants. Our aim has been to make the application process as straightforward and self-service as possible, whilst complying with all governance requirements. There are video tutorials available on the BIM website and embedded within the GEMS application system. These tutorials guide you through how to write your business plan and how to submit it, how to write your project plan and how to submit it, the requirements that exist in relation to quotations, the environmental requirements around all applications. Please use these video tutorials to guide you through making through your application, and play and pause them as you require to ensure that you understand the requirements against each of the sections of the application. In addition to this, we have an extensive guidelines for applicants booklet available on the website at the previously noted address, and also embedded within GEMS. This booklet is designed to guide you through each question in the application form, explain to you exactly what is required, and give you examples where appropriate of what information is required in order for you to score your 60 points out of 100 and to make the application process as efficient, simple and straightforward as possible. In addition, we have a support email address, brexitprocessing@bim.ie, should you be unable to guide yourself through the guidelines and or the video tutorials. Please use these self-service support resources in the initial stages of making your application to ensure that your application progresses as smoothly as possible. So in summary, the grant aid is ready. The scheme is now open. We're looking for competitive and sustainable outcomes and to make a long-term difference that is swiftly applied. And we look forward to receiving and reviewing your applications. And I'm happy now to take any questions that anyone may have. Please submit them using the chat bubbles at either the bottom or the top of your screen.
Just 2 questions in at the moment, Kevin. First one, how long will the environmental assessment section take to fill out?
Not long is my instinct. It is, what I'd encourage you to do is fill it out alongside the video tutorial and alongside the guidelines for applicants document. You will be required to do what's called a carbon calculation, but we've pointed you towards an online resource. There's between 8 and 10 button clicks required, but I don't see this as being a long application. Where you're required to provide additional detail if you already have ISO 14001 or Origin Green or similar standards, the information we're asking for will be similar to those.
Perfect. Next question, what does the eligibility pack mean?
There are eligibility criteria. That is to ensure that the basic requirements of having, for example, an SFPA processor number, being an onshore processor, and so on, are complied with. So it is the basic hurdle. you need to pass to be eligible for the scheme.
Next question, what is
I'm
the
sorry,
maximum?
Gavin, just before I finish on that point,
Yeah.
all of this is further explained in the guidelines for applicants, which is the booklet, which is available through our website from today.
What is the maximum gross grant age allowed per project?
There's no cap.
Perfect. Is there one submission only for multi-phase projects, or can you submit several times at different dates?
You can, and I would encourage you to submit it multiple times for each phase, because you, in terms of your quotation still being valid with your own suppliers when you get your grant aid approved.
When is the first meeting of the committee for approving projects, and by what date must applications be submitted to be considered for this meeting?
So we don't currently have that date. We will notify of that date as soon as it's available. Our ambition is to have one soon.
Are grants awarded based on a first come, first served basis?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Given the scheme's objectives is focused on catching sector versus processors, i.e. down the supply chain, will applications from processors in the second part of the supply chain be viewed positively?
Sorry, I might just read that one. Yeah,
I think there might be getting a bit confused in this one in terms of the objective of the scheme, but given the scheme objectives is focused on the catching sector versus processors down the supply chain, will applications from processors in the second part of the supply chain be viewed positively?
So I suppose the Brexit Adjustment Reserve tried to look at the recommendations along the supply chain. This particular measure is focused on the processing sector, and you must have a SFPA processing number to successfully apply under this scheme. If I've misunderstood the question, the person submitting the question might submit it again, and I can give it another go.
Perfect. Given that there are currently supply chain delays in getting all sorts of machinery, will there be any flexibility in the completion date?
That's something that's outside our control. At the moment, the deadline, which is a cross EU deadline for all countries to comply with under the Brexit Adjustment Reserve, is the 31st of December 2023.
If there's no cap per project, does this mean that the fund could be awarded or used up very quickly, given the fact that it's based on a first come, first served basis?
We as an agency have good visibility of the pipeline across the sector, and we have confidence that there is sufficient monies available to meet the demands of everybody who's going forward, likely to come forward with a project.
Perfect. Can a freezer vessel with an approval number apply?
No, this is for onshore processing enterprises only.
Will there be a processing grant date in 2024 from MFAF?
Yeah, very likely that there will be, yes. But that scheme is yet to be designed.
Perfect. I think any remaining questions there might be specific to companies, so we might take that offline.
Yeah, absolutely. Make that commitment that if there's confidential or company specific questions, very happy to take those offline.
Just another one there, Kevin. Does supporting capital expenditure include buildings and services?
Yes, buildings and services are funded at 30%.
Just give a minute in case there's any other final questions, Quinn.
Just as while you're waiting for that, Gavin, in case you've just joined, you're very welcome. Right now, we're inviting any questions you may have about the scheme. You can type your questions into the Q&A box in your Zoom window, and Gavin will read them out to the full group, and I'll do my best to answer them.
Another question there, Kevin. How big or small does the onshore processor need to be as the output of it?
So there's no how small, if you like. It's everything from micro enterprise. This scheme is available to small, medium, and micro enterprises with an SFPA approval number with a PP or FFPP classification.
Do all quotations have to be submitted as part of the application?
Yes.
As I was saying there, I think there's just a few there with people with specific questions, maybe to their company, that we might follow up with afterwards. There's nothing else at the moment.
Okay, thanks, Gavin. Thanks everybody for your questions. As I said, it's great news that now the scheme is open and available. Please go to the bim.ie website where you'll be able to download the guidelines for applicants, view the video tutorials, see all the details of the scheme, and access the GEMS portal. Excuse me. We look forward to receiving your applications. We hope you found the webinar useful, and it will be available online alongside those other resources shortly hereafter. And we look forward to receiving your applications, and I look forward to meeting and speaking to many of you over the coming weeks and months. Thanks everybody. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.